This is your host, Dub FFG, your fantasy football GOAT strategy. How's it going today? As always, we're going to talk about the upcoming week, and this time, it's week 10. Let's get to it. Now, as you all know, that like, that subscribe, and that notification bell, click those, and those really help us out from a supporting standpoint, as well as helping our channel grow. So, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. And thanks a lot. First up, let's do a week 9 recap. Let's look at the Houston Texans, because the Texans shined last week. That rookie quarterback that they have, CJ Stroud, he did his thing. He threw close to 500 yards, but he did his thing and he did it big. So CJ Stroud and the Texans, they overcame a deficit and they won in the last seconds. If they were actually probably in the top 2 of best games for the week between them and the Cowboys versus the Eagles, because the Eagles edged out the Cowboys in a thriller of a game that came down to the very last play. Cowboys have to resolve some issues when it comes to that red zone, and I think they're going to do so going forward. So this matchup may happen again deep into the playoffs, like the NFC Championship. The Chiefs, as my buddy June would say, they stamped the L on the Dolphins' passport. The Dolphins went across the waters and lost. Kind of ironic being a Dolphin and going across the water and losing, but that game was pretty good as well. As we mentioned last time in our last must start video, that the Dolphins and the Chiefs may come down to a defensive game. Even though they're both high powered on offense, as you see, the score was only 21-14 if I'm correct. So that was more defense than offense. The Raiders have new life. They have a new coach, interim coach, Antonio Pierce, who loves the Raiders. He grew up in California, so he is a Raider at heart. And he and his staff, they're on one accord, so they've given the Raiders new life. And that new life is going to pay off big time. And they have a pretty good chance this week to make it 2 games in a row. Now, as far as our picks, from the past 2 weeks, week 8, we came out at 90%. That was great. That's great for us. We really love coming out ahead over that 70% mark. Of course, that's 20% over, so definitely great. But this past week, we were only 63%. So, as you can see, we went like that stock, or the frequency of a stock. So we went up, then we came down. We went up, we came down. So, but that's fantasy football for you. So let's continue. Now, week 10. Week 10, this is our hot reads and must starts. We're looking at Jordan Addison versus the Saints. Now, since Justin Jefferson has went out, Jordan Addison has really been shining. He was actually beginning to shine just before JJ went down. Jordan Addison is definitely doing his thing, and he's definitely connecting well with whatever quarterback is in there. Now it's Joshua Dobbs. So that system in the Vikings in Minnesota, that's a good system for receivers. So Jordan Addison versus the Saints should do well. Geno Smith versus the Washington Commanders, the Raiders defense, the New Life defense, the Silver Lining defense, the Silver and Black defense, that Raider Nation versus the Jets. Dallas defense versus the Giants. I mean, it's the Giants, man. The Giants really have... So the Giants are just the Giants right now. They're not the Giants of old. So the Dallas defense should get right against them. When you look in the mirror, do you see a GOAT? Are you the best that fantasy football has to offer? If so, then wear it on your chest. Fantasy Football GOAT Strategies has new arrivals for the new fantasy season. See the link in the description or scan the QR code. Pick up your gear now. Fantasy Football GOAT Strategies. Also for week 10, we're looking at Amari Cooper versus the Ravens. This should be another game that may be a defensive game. Of course, you play all your skilled players in these games, but Amari Cooper should be the number 1 skilled player with the best fantasy points out of all of them this game. So look for Amari Cooper to be a high scorer versus the Ravens. Look for Keenan Allen versus the Lions. This should definitely be offense in this game. Though I'm picking the Lions to win outright, the Chargers and Justin Herbert versus Goff and his crew, that's going to be a good game. That's going to be good for the fantasy skill players in that game. Dak Prescott versus the Giants. Again, man, it's the Giants. Dak Prescott doing his thing. If he can light up the Eagles, you know he can light up the Giants. The Bills defense versus the Broncos. Broncos getting a little bit better, but take the Bills. And the Bills defense should shine good. Now, week 10 overall, there are a couple of players that can help you out, that could possibly salvage your season if you're having issues at quarterback. And that's Joshua Dobbs, who's now a Viking, and Will Levis, who's with the Titans. They may be able to save your season if you're having quarterback issues, or if you just need a valuable backup. Pick them up. Also, Jake Ferguson for the Dallas Cowboys. He's getting more targets, he's getting more red zone shots, and Dak has a great rapport with him. So put Jake Ferguson in the game, replace him with your tight ends. So particularly if your tight end is not scoring points or high points, Jake Ferguson is the man. Raiders defense again on the rise. Put him in the game. Don't even hesitate. Because week 10, the power of 10. Lead the pack. 10 is a number of tradition. So if you're normally a fantasy football GOAT or a fantasy football champion, this is your time where you make your statement. You start to go on a run. You turn into that GOAT to say, hey, I'm still that dude. I'm still that guy that's going to win this league. So take notes and get out of my way, because I'm winning this league, and this is where it starts. Week 10, the power of 10. Lead the pack. Be the GOAT. Do your thing. Till next time, this is Dub FFG, the Fantasy Football GOAT Strategies. We'll see you soon. Question: is your NFL team winning the Super Bowl this season? If so, then you better get your new gear for the new season. NFL Shop is providing with your new favorite team's apparel this season. Use the link below or scan the QR code to see a huge inventory of NFL teams apparel. Discount codes will be available throughout the season, so use the link. Shop now.